Hey there friends, welcome to another video from the garage, or actually more accurately, my brother's new house. So the first thing you want to do when you get a brand new house is obviously install new locks. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be installing this Kwickset deadbolt and then regular doorknob lock. Let's do it. So this is the Kwickset lock set that we chose. Again, we're going to be doing the garage door as well as the front door. So having one of these packs is really great because you get the same key that can be used in both locks. We actually had this opened up so we can make sure the keys were correct. Yeah, basically here is, again, the model number. We'll link that in the description box below so that you can purchase it on some place like Amazon if you like. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and take out the old deadbolt and get that replaced first. This is actually, again, really simple. In the door jamb, you're gonna have two screws that basically hold the lock in and clamp it up against your door jamb. So I've just got my Ryobi cordless drill here. This makes the job really handy. You can also just use a Phillips head screwdriver if you have it. So what you do is just pull out those two screws that are in there. Okay, so the next thing to go after is the two screws that hold the deadbolt in place on the door from either side. So basically you may need to maneuver your little latch here so that you can get at those two Phillips head screws. Again, same thing, we're just gonna pull those out. And again, be careful when you do this, it's going to loosen the entire mechanism here. As you can see, these two long screws just go straight through the door frame to latch onto that other piece of the deadbolt. So now that we have that out, we can come over here and grab the other side of the deadbolt. Again, that's your main piece of your lock right there. We're gonna put that off to the side. Then we can take the rest of the lock mechanism and just push it straight out through the door frame. And that's as easy as it is to remove that deadbolt. So let's go ahead and open up our packaging, get the new one, and get that installed. Okay, so here's our new bolt mechanism, and there's a couple ways to install this. So depending on your door, you may need to configure it just a little bit. It does make it easy. There's a little up symbol. Again, this is the Kwickset lock mechanism. So just look for that little up symbol, and again, make sure that it obviously is in the up position. So we had to use just a little bit of force to kind of get it in there, and now it's nice and flush. You can see on this specific door jamb, because it was made for another frame set, that there is a little bit of a gapping issue that we're going to have. So again, just be aware that this may not fit exactly perfectly as your other one potentially did. Okay, so the next thing to do is to feed our deadbolt into the door frame. Again, just make sure this is on the outside of your door. Make sure the Kwickset label is in the top position, and that will make sure your little key mechanism is configured correctly. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna feed it straight through the door here, through this little opening that's right through the bolt mechanism. And again, there's only really one clean way to feed that through, so it really helps in making sure you're not mounting it incorrectly. And then that's just gonna push up flush against the door. Again, you wanna kind of keep your fingers here and hold that in place while we then take our deadbolt lock switch here, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna stick this on the back. And again, this is the same, it really only fits in one specific way, and that will allow us to then get that bolt mechanism working. So at this point, we now need to put our mounting screws in and get this nice and tight. Okay, so the next thing to do is obviously get our mounting hardware out. Best way is to take the old mounting hardware and just match it up with the new. And that way you know you are using the right screws for the right areas. Again, for this stuff, it's just gonna be obviously the long guys. Okay, now obviously you just need to make sure that everything's lined up correctly. And you'll know it's lined up correctly because when you take your mounting screws, you'll be able to stick them straight through, and they'll be able to start finger threading into that other side of your deadbolt. So I'm gonna do one of these on each side. Again, we're just gonna finger thread it in to the initial part, and then we can take our drill, or again, a Phillips head, and just get these nice and flush. Okay, last thing to do is obviously test it. Looks like we are running smooth and good to go with our deadbolt. Our last thing to do is obviously put your screws that mount this directly to the door jamb. Just get those guys in there. And second one here. And there you go. All right, we're ready to move on to our main lock now. Okay, so a very, very similar process for the main lock down here. Again, we can start with our Phillips head screws that are in the door jamb, holding the locking bolts in there. I'm just gonna pull those two little guys. So we're gonna go after the two screws that are now on this side of the handle. These are in the vertical position. I'm actually gonna have to use my little hand Phillips head screwdriver because my drill won't get in at that angle. So we're gonna loosen both sides here and just, again, pull those straight out. Okay, at this point, we're ready to pull the lock mechanism away from the door jamb here. Again, be careful, you don't want this stuff kind of falling all over your tile or anything like that, especially with us since we still have our lock box on the outside. But there you go. That is how we remove the old hardware. And once we have that out, again, just like the top, we can come in here and just pull our little bolt mechanism directly out of the door frame as well. So here's our bolt mechanism for the lower lock. Now this, you really need to make sure you understand how your door is opening up. What you want is this flat side to be up against the inside of your door. So again, just come over to your door frame, make sure that you're mounting it in the correct position. So again, in this case, for a door that opens up to the right and in, we again want to make sure we have our lock configured just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in like that. We'll put it straight through. This one actually fits a lot more cleanly, and press it up against the door just like that. Okay, and then everything else really just lines up kind of very similar. This has a different kind of shape to the actual turn, but you can actually just feed it straight through. So just line things up. You may need to kind of twist and manipulate it just a little bit, but as you can see, it really does fit like a nice puzzle piece once you have it in the right place. Again, you can come over here and make sure that your key is kind of in the upward position there, like you normally put it in. And then on this side, we can actually, again, just like that puzzle piece, we're gonna have to flip this around. You also may need to manipulate the lock a little bit just to make sure that slides on correctly. But again, it'll fit really nice and snug once you have it. And then we're just gonna line up these holes, and just like the top, we're gonna stick our little bolts straight through and line that up with the outside. So again, you're gonna need to look for the correct bolts here. In this case, these are the ones that we're looking for. And we're just gonna feed these directly into the holes, line them up with the other sleeve on the other end of the lock. And again, this should fit really nice and perfectly. I'm just gonna finger thread these in at first. If they don't, again, you may just have to manipulate both sides of things until the holes line up correctly. Okay, so this is a good time to, again, just test the lock mechanism. Make sure everything's on there, it's snug, and feels good. And then the last thing to do is obviously we will put our little screws into the door jamb here, and we should be good to go. All right, one final thing to do if you like, obviously we need to switch ours because these are gold. I'm just gonna pull off this plate using the two screws right here, loosen that up, pull that off, and then our set came with that brand new silver one that we could slip on, and you should be good to go. All right, friends, that is the basics of changing out your locks. Again, something you really need to do if you buy a new home. And hope this has helped. If it has, guys, hit that thumbs up button. Let us know we're making helpful videos, and subscribe because we obviously have a whole bunch of new fun home projects to do over here at the brother-in-law's house. We're gonna be filming stuff. Should be helpful for you, and we'll have those videos coming out soon. Thanks for watching.